nice to meet you.
It's super nice to meet you. I'm super excited about the fact that you were willing to do this with me.
Yeah, no, this is great.
Good.
Yeah.
Northern, maybe we should even just start with your name.
Yeah, it's a little different. My first name is Norther. It's like an archaic British name. It's I think mostly a man's name. Very uncommon. I don't think anybody has had this name in a very long time.
Is it a family name?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
And where does it come from?
it's like a British name.
Okay.
My dad is from Great Britain.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with me. What books are you currently reading or returning to lately?
Right now I am reading a book about the ecology of like Eastern Washington's sagebrush steppe. And I really like those kind of like Eastern Cascades landscapes. I think they're really interesting. Definitely a big desert person.
Are you?
Yeah. So
I feel like you're kind of in the wrong spot for desert.
I know. No, I spend about 2 months a year in Southeast Oregon. I live in Portland right now. I've lived in Portland off and on since I was a child. This is where I'm at right now, but I'm definitely scheming on going back to the east side of the mountains.
Really?
You know, maybe when my kids are a little older or something.
So, like, where? Tell me where.
I really love Southeast Oregon. I'm a big fan of Lake County. I think Lake County is really beautiful. It's a very rural county.
Yeah.
I used to live in Tye Valley, which is over on the east side of Mount Hood, kind of near Maupin. A lot of people know where Maupin is on the Deschutes River. So that's definitely one of my favorite places I've ever lived. So beautiful there.
It's really pretty.
Yeah.
It's crazy beautiful, especially driving back from Bend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good to know. So name something you can't live without.
Oh. I have a lot of cats.
Cats are a popular option.
I never not
You're
have
not
a cat
alone
in
there.
my house.
You're not alone.
I have 3 right now. They're like a little gang. It's so fun.
They are really fun.
They're really fun.
I used to have 3. Now I have 2. My daughter took one of them, but lot less litter boxes. Appreciate that. And also, the only time in my entire life, and I'm 52, I have not had a cat was my freshman and sophomore year of college.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah, I think right around that age, maybe I didn't have a cat in my house for like a year or 2 when I was like a baby adult. But yeah.
I wanted one. I was in the dorms and it was not feasible. And then I was with a roommate. I don't think she lived on for it. We had rabbits. I got us rabbits.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I have thought about trying a rabbit, but in a different house.
Yeah.
Different kind of house.
Yeah. You gotta have the right house.
They can be destructive.
Yes, they can. And they're messy.
Yeah. Super cute though. Like a really sociable rabbit is really a fun friend to have.
It is. You need a little habitat for it.
Yeah.
What's one topic you could talk about for hours without getting tired?
Oh, I could definitely talk about plants like until the end of time. Plants and edible plants and all kinds of things about plants.
Have you been studying them your whole life? Has this just been a thing?
I think when I look back, yes, but not consciously. I just have really I don't know. I've always been like interested in plants, I guess.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with my grandparents as a child. And my grandparents are from Great Britain, and they're like gardening culture is like a very big part of.
I love gardening.
Well, and I think a lot of people don't realize this, but most of the weeds that we have in the Pacific Northwest, especially, like were brought here on purpose as insurance against starvation and for like fodder for livestock. When people were immigrating here, they didn't know what was going to be here for their sheep when they brought their sheep over. So, yeah, pretty much everything that grows in a sidewalk crack is also like considered like an herb or a garden vegetable in Europe. So, yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot.
Rad.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. There's a lot on the table in terms of that stuff. So, yeah.
let's see. What do you love doing more than anything else?
This is like maybe not the coolest answer, but like I could nap for an unlimited.
Again, I love your answer. Yeah, same. Okay,
I really
naps
enjoy.
are great.
I really enjoy resting. Can't get enough.
Well, especially you're a mother, so
yeah,
I know that's not surprising.
It's a very middle-aged answer.
What makes you the happiest in your day-to-day life right now?
I really have a routine in my life that I really enjoy, that I really love. I go to the gym every morning in the dark, and I really enjoy like everything about that.
You're in the dark gym person.
Yeah, not too early because that cannot be good for you. But like
late, I'm like dinner time. 5:30.
Yeah,
5:30 is like my jam.
Oh, I'm not even leaving the house.
I come back, I take a bath, and then I go to bed.
That sounds
Super
nice.
amazing.
I have to get up and do it first thing, and I feel like that's like the maximum endorphin reward that I'm gonna get through the day too.
I hear it's amazing to set your day with. I just that first thing, I'm too cold. Like I don't want to get. I have a hard time. I have a hard time with that. I don't want to leave the house that way. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
I
getting
really
my
enjoy
exercise clothes on is not the first thing that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, it depends on what you're gonna wear. It depends. But yeah, I really enjoy those like early morning moments. Like nobody else is around. Anything you do before the sun comes up, you're like
it's
winning.
so quiet. Yeah, and also like it would be amazing because you then start your day from that point. And there's been times, don't get me wrong, I have tried it out. I'm just really,
I have tried
morning adverse.
I have tried working out at like noon or 1 or something, and
I cannot do that. I had to do that.
Scary.
I had to do that when I lived in San Francisco. I used to go to yoga on my lunch break, and it was useful, but it always felt like so disruptive to the middle of the day because your head is spinning. I would come back and feel really great about myself, but then
not the thing.
No. Okay. All right. Well, good to know. We've got healthy routines over here. What are you naturally gifted in, especially in ways that don't always show up on paper?
I am definitely like a person that has coasted through life on vibes a lot, so I can just kind of like pop in and be like really good at random things. My boyfriend the other day asked me, he was like, do you have any other like hidden talent? Like, is there anything else I don't know about you? I'm like, I don't even know.
Are we limiting you?
That question. No, it's just, there's just a lot of, I have
some untapped potential.
I have a lot of random things that I know about, I guess I would say. So, but other than that, like, I don't know, I guess what maybe ties into this is like, I'm really good at teaching myself things. So if I find something interesting, I can usually figure out a way to like do it on my own, even if that's not usually the way you learn.
Give me an example. Tell me.
What's an example? Sometimes it's just craft things. Like I have this bedspread.
Yes.
It's very nice. It's cotton, right? They don't even make things out of cotton anymore. And it has some weird like pen stains and things on it. So I was like, I'm gonna learn how to embroider so I can embroider over all of these stains so that I can keep this nice cotton item, rather than like search across the internet looking for a different one or ending up with something that's like, made of polyester.
Well, yeah. And also, we give it away and then it gets thrown away and then where does it really go? It's not really going anywhere. It's still here with us.
Matter that I fell asleep like with a pen. A couple times.
I dye things.
Yeah.
When things like that happen.
I considered dyeing them, but it's white and then the pen was like red and then blue, and I was like, I think if we just stitch over the top of this, it's gonna be fine. So I like watched some tutorials and I like practiced a little bit and then I just like went for it.
How did it turn out?
It's still like a work in progress. It's like a pretty big thing, but like the parts that I've done, I'm like really happy with. I think it looks really cool. It's bringing me a lot of joy.
Good for you. Yeah. I love embroidery. I got really into that at one point and did a bedspread for with like 13, there was 13 of us for my daughter's 13th birthday when they transitioned into womanhood, essentially. I gave them a blanket to wrap themselves in, and all my friends and I did a quilt square.
That's cool.
Yeah. I love embroidery. I love crafts. Good for you. You've got some interesting things. What are you most passionate about in this season of your life?
The work that I do really takes up all of the space in my life that you know isn't already occupied by other things. Building a business is a process.
It is.
It's definitely a process when like nobody else does the work that you do.
Yes. I know nothing about that.
Except maybe as a hobby,
Mm-hmm.
but there's there was no like formula to follow, and there was nobody to ask advice of, and I just had to swing hard on things and figure out what worked and what didn't.
I need to know what your astrology is. I keep thinking.
Oh yeah. I have a Leo sun, Aquarius moon.
I was going to say you're definitely Aquarius, right?
Gemini rising.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's an awesome combination.
I do really, yeah. Me and the Gemini rising, we've kind of...
You get in fights?
Sometimes it's my least favorite thing about me, but...
You get in fights with yourself over what to do, maybe?
I think part of growing up has been learning how to like bring that part of my character into check a little bit. Like, I don't need to run my mouth about everything.
With that Leo, yeah.
You know?
And then the Aquarius thinker, yeah.
Yeah, I'm way better at like
Boundaries.
playing my cards close to my chest is I guess what I'll say than I used to be, where I used to just like throw everything out there all the time. No filter, like no. Yeah.
Yeah, but confidence
No
is
guidance.
like your ally.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta be the most confident combination I can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My oldest child is the opposite of me. He's a double Aquarius with a Leo moon. So, and he and I are like, we are very much two sides of the same coin. It's really fun.
Interesting.
Really cool. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. What do your friends most appreciate about you?
I am the tough love advice friend. I will
Have you
say
always
it,
been that person?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say it with kindness, but I will not spare your
Sugarcoat.
feelings if you need to hear something.
Good for you. I love your honesty.
Yeah, I think really hard about how to execute on some of that stuff sometimes. Not everybody's ready to receive the truth.
No. Came from
And-
a Scorpio who knows.
Yeah. Yeah, not everybody is ready to receive the truth all the time. And I'm like, I'm unavailable to play along with like the ego backlash that can happen when people are like, you know, uncomfortable. So I have strong boundaries around not giving advice unless I'm explicitly asked, but oh boy, if you asked, better be ready. And that definitely bleeds over into the work that I do too, where it's the topics that we deal in are serious, and don't pay me to teach you things and then not take my advice. You know, it's not gonna. You're not gonna get more of what you want in life. So
Okay.
yeah.
You sound really fun. Tell me something unique or interesting about you that only those close to you would know.
Hard to say. There's so much that I share about myself, and I'm very like comfortable being seen. Probably only the people close to me. No, that's not true. I think everybody knows that I'm a little messy. Yeah, I honestly can't think of anything. It's really all out there.
Okay.
I find that showing up like super authentically in a loud way has really pulled the right people towards me. I get really like perfect fit clients every time, and it's one of my favorite things. It brings me so much joy every time I get like a group of people or like a person comes to me and they want exactly what I have. They are exactly the right person. They're at the right place in their life to receive it. That brings me a lot of joy. So I just really I try to be very authentically myself, especially when I'm like sharing about myself, whether it's like through marketing or on social media or whatever. I want you to know
that's how I can
what you're getting. Yeah.
You're very aligned, and then you're not afraid to speak about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you're
then
very clear.
You get great people that way, and then you don't get people that aren't great. Like somebody asked me one time, a friend of mine who does like he's like a fishing guide, he was like, what do you do when you get like a shitty client? And I was like, I've never had that happen to me. Is that a problem in your line of work? I'm so sorry.
It probably is. It's a different line of work.
It's very different.
Yeah.
Those guys are making the big bucks, but
they're making big bucks, but they're taking people who are just using them for a couple of hours, and it's not like a heightened experience other than just the experience of the fish.
Yeah. So, Yeah.
It's different. What was it like growing up in your family?
I'm from a commercial fishing family on the Oregon coast. Yeah. So,
like salmon,
like whatever the season is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Do they do tours?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Just very, very rugged, very like not aesthetic. I spent a lot of time outside and spent a lot of time outside alone, expected to entertain myself. And I just, a lot of outside time all the time for my whole childhood, probably until I was a teenager.
Sounds like it benefited you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I don't know anything else. I've like never
experienced it.
Yeah, I never had like another sort of experience in that way. That was just kind of the default. But my parents are like very much oriented around things that happen outside.
Are you impervious to fog and cold weather?
Oh,
did it just like beat it out of you?
I didn't even notice it. I don't think.
I'm telling you, people in Oregon are a different breed. It's so crazy to me.
I don't know anything about snow though, right? Like
sure. But I mean, your ability to like you have adapted to it. It's like you didn't know any different, and that's just how you grew up. And so yeah, it's not cold to you.
Even like I have a younger brother who's a commercial fisherman as well, and he works in Alaska a lot. And I remember one time we were out late when in our 20s, we were like out late one night, and he was like, "I want to walk home." I was like, "It's 30 degrees. You don't even have a jacket." And he was like,
This isn't cold.
This isn't cold. I work on the back deck of a boat on the ocean in the other side of the Arctic Circle. Like,
I can't
care about this.
I can't even think about that.
Yeah.
Right.
The more you're exposed to cold, the more like capillaries you're building in your extremities as well too. So
of course she knows the science.
Yeah. The more time you spend in those environments, the more adapted you are to them.
Yeah. I'm a wimp.
That's okay.
I like the desert, but I like it warm. Like Sedona is probably as cold as I really want to get. And Shasta is kind of desertish. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little. Mm-hmm. Or less coastal. Okay. What did you love doing as a child, especially outdoors and alone? Sounds like you were like playing forts or climbing trees.
Yeah, definitely like climbing trees, building little forts, finding little like mossy places to
love moss.
Do things and hang out and stuff.
Thing.
I just spent a lot of time outside alone, doing whatever, finding different places in the woods, exploring around.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up on the Oregon coast? Do you mind telling us?
Yeah, near Newport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then when I was a little older, we moved to Corvallis, and so I lived in Corvallis.
Corvallis is also beautiful.
Yeah, really pretty there. Also a little more, I get to have like a little bit more of like an indoor experience there, but very walkable in Corvallis and like lots of little things to walk around and see and do. So still a lot of outside time, even though we were like in town.
Cool. What kinds of relationships did you witness as a child?
What do you mean?
Like with regards to your family, like what was your family like?
Oh, my family is very chaotic. Everyone in my family is very intense. My parents.
Do you consider yourself intense?
I'm like a very chill person, but I guess
so. Everybody else
in a
is
way.
intense. Yeah.
My parents were divorced for 7 years in my childhood. They like broke up and they got back together.
No way.
Just like super chaotic.
Are you kidding me? No way.
Yeah. I don't know. It's quite the choice.
So what age?
Probably like 7 to 14. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It just was.
Were you for it?
Yeah. I mean, their dynamic is really yucky. Like, I was like, okay, cool.
So cool on the divorce or cool on the getting back together?
Getting back together is like, I don't know why you're doing that. We're still together. We're neighbors, actually. I live next door to my parents.
Do you really?
Pluses and minuses with that. But
it's probably helpful for having children.
It really is.
Really amazing for that.
That having built-in childcare is worth a lot. It's worth a lot. So
maybe not enough separation.
Yeah. I have really firm boundaries.
That's good. That's
so. But yeah, the other neighbor, like on the other side of me, is someone I've known since I was 6. Like it's a very I'm having a very un-Portland experience because I live in a little tiny pocket on a dead-end street where everybody knows each other, and I've known everyone there for a super long time. And
how cool is that?
So very specific situation, and my parents are getting
how Portlandy are you? Like that is so cute.
I've been here for like 30 years.
Have
now,
you?
Off and on. So
you've seen a lot of change.
Yeah. There is this experience that I keep trying to explain to other people where like sometimes I'll be driving through a neighborhood I haven't visited in a long time, and I'll be going through an intersection that I've been through hundreds of times in my life, and I'll temporarily get disoriented because I don't recognize a single thing. Like all of the buildings are new, everything is different now. This happens to be in North Portland a lot. Probably driving and I'll just be like,
Portland is changing a lot.
Where am I again?
Yeah.
Because our memories can be so visual. I know that I know where I am, but it'll take me a minute. Sometimes it'll like wash over me, and then I'll reorient to be like, okay, yeah, right. We're still on Alberta. So.
Alberta's changed a lot,
Alberta's
even since I've
changed.
lived here, and I've only lived here 10 years.
Yeah.
11 years. But Alberta, I go to Cascada on Alberta Street a lot, and just the entire the way that it looks. I won't get stuck in that, but yes, neighborhoods have totally changed just in 10 years.
Yeah.
So much has changed.
Yeah,
It's
been really dramatic. So I feel like the place that I grew up doesn't really exist anymore, but they built this little like bougie adult playground on top of my hometown, and it is kind of fun. It's fun.
Yeah, did us, Californians kind of rent it for you?
People have been saying that my entire life. Like, grow up, none of us are from here. That's not real.
Okay.
That's not real.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate the like new Portland, old Portland fake rivalry thing, or like the California Oregon thing and the California Washington thing. Like,
oh, you think it's a rivalry?
It's a weird little cultural back and forth that is just so silly.
Huh. I never experienced that being a Californian. I mean, maybe like when I first moved here, but more I was just getting at like a lot of people from California for a while were just like coming here in droves, And I kind of heard like the locals being like, okay, thank you for the traffic and also the house prices and also.
Yeah, but if they didn't come from California, they come from somewhere else. No,
a lot of people moved here from a lot of places. Yeah.
We all came here from somewhere
popular.
else. It's not really a real thing.
Yeah, no. The indigenous were here first, to be honest. To be real, yeah.
To be fair, I don't think anybody that's been here for like a generation or two, or I think I'm like a 4th gen Oregonian. I don't know, on my mom's side. Who cares? It doesn't matter. We're all adults managing our own lives. It's like not
a thing. Okay.
It's not really a thing.
Okay. Is there a childhood memory you've never shared publicly that still feels meaningful?
I think a lot of how I learned about plants was just kind of like hanging with my grandparents, especially with my grandma. And
in the garden, did they have a big garden?
They had a big garden, and we would also like go to plant nurseries and like walk around and
talk about plants,
look at things, and
that was one of my favorite things to do too.
Yeah. I still enjoy a little recreational trip to the nursery just to look at
shopping. Yeah.
Good times.
Mm-hmm. Especially for a nursery.
Yeah.
It never gets old.
I don't think I was like super engaged in those trips. Like I wasn't like, oh, this is so great or whatever. But I think there was a lot of times in my childhood where I kind of just like passively went along with whatever we were doing. And then it kind of like quietly like built this foundation of knowledge that I was able to kind of like pull from later. So, I think about that stuff sometimes.
What hurdles have you personally faced and how did you learn how to move through them?
Oh man, that is I could give so many answers for that. Definitely like getting to the point where I'm at here with Wild Solitude and the work that I do and everything. Things were a little rough. I guess I just always like things don't really bother me. Like I'm it's really hard to upset me, I'm really good at just dealing with what's in front of me in the moment and handling that business. And I think sometimes maybe when you are a person that's like been through some things, I don't know, I would never give this advice to someone else, but like when I'm in a circumstance I don't like, I always just go, well, this is the worst day of my life. So we're going to get through this too. I lean really hard on having faith in my ability to like alchemize shitty circumstances into something that serves me. So I don't really like have...
That's a gift, Norther.
It is a gift and I'm really grateful for it because I don't have to be afraid of whatever is coming next.
It's pretty powerful.
It's not because it's never not in service.
Yep.
So I just don't get that worked up about things or take anything that seriously or worry that hard about it. It's always a gift.
That's amazing. Was there a moment when fear became something you learned to work with rather than avoid?
Yeah, a lot of the like fear and anxiety work that I do as Wild Solitude came out of an experience I had in 2017. I had a near fatal mountaineering accident. I almost fell off of a very high cliff when I lost my footing while I was like down climbing through 3rd class terrain. And I started backflipping down a slab towards the edge. And I was like, I couldn't orient myself enough to do anything about what was happening because first of all, I was going backwards, which is very disorienting. But I was also basically backflipping and whacking my head over and over. So just super jumbled up and like watching the edge just roll towards me. And like right before I went off of this cliff, I like kind of fell sideways into this little chute, like this little like cut where the water runs off the rock, and I somehow landed standing upright. And I like remember looking down at my feet.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So I remember looking down at my feet and seeing my feet, and then like on the rock, and then the sky like right behind them, and then checking my teeth and being like, oh my God, they're not broken, because
banging the heck out of your head.
I had no skin from here all the way down my neck to the back of my shoulder. I split every single knuckle, 3 rows. I did have a concussion, which nobody diagnosed. I mean, I figured out years later that I had definitely had a concussion. Of course you did. I broke this arm. And then I hit this elbow extremely hard, and a ton of soft tissue damage. I actually like had no use of my left arm at all. The broken arm was more solid. So, and then I was, didn't go off the edge. So now I'm still on the side of a mountain. And it was about 40 minutes before sunset. And at that point, we kind of realized that the route that we were taking off of the mountain was not viable anymore. We were taking this alternate route so that we could traverse over and connect to a second mountain and summit a second mountain. But we were following a track that was only 3 weeks old. So someone 3 weeks earlier had followed this route. A tremendous amount of rockfall had happened in that span of 3 weeks. So the gully that we were supposed to down climb had a very large boulder on top of it that was unstable and made the route overhung. So we would have to, there was no way to get to it, basically. And I had a swelling broken arm, and the left arm was trashed and just bleeding and like you super traumatized, and it's like, all right, and now we down climb with the side of the arm and 3 fingers on one hand to get off of this mountain.
Are you kidding me?
I had very young children at the time too, so that was what was really upsetting about this to me. Was like I had a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old at the time, so all I could think about was them and like how I almost left my children without a mother. It was very upsetting to me. Super sketchy. It took a long time to get off of the mountain. We ended up kicking that large boulder off into a snow field. And I will never forget the smell, because when the rock, the impact of the rock against the talus slope beneath the cliff smelled like gunpowder. And then it like slid, I don't know, maybe 40 feet and slammed into the back of a snowbank. And we were like, great, let's down climb. So that was super traumatic for me.
Yeah, it was.
And
it was traumatic for anyone who's listened, I'm sure, too.
I was probably, what was I, like 34? I think
Who was with you?
I was with my my alpine mentor and one of my close friends at the time. I was with
thank
the
God
2
you were with
people
that were actually capable of.
Yeah.
Not that you weren't trashed, it
I mean, had I been alone, I would have handled that too, but like, it just is what it is. But yeah, I had people with me who I trusted, and we got off the mountain and hiked back the next day. I was super lucky. I didn't have any lower body injuries. So I was able to like self-evacuate. So there's this thing in climbing and like mountaineering culture that's really dumb, which is that like once I had that accident, like I realized that it like buys you some kind of like credibility like with other climbers, which is really nonsense. But like people are like, oh yeah, you almost died, that's sick. And I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that, or like how much I want to participate in that way of thinking. That's like actually pretty weird. But I initially tried to just roll out of that experience and was like, okay, like that, but we're good, and this arm thing's gonna heal, and this is gonna be fine. But I was very traumatized by that experience, and it took me a while to figure it out. And then I had to kind of like navigate that while also just kind of like making some decisions about like what I really wanted to be doing in the mountains. Like if you put a map in front of me right now, I probably could not find the mountain that I almost died climbing. I probably couldn't. It's in the Baker's Snoqualmie National Forest. I probably couldn't find it, you know? I didn't really care about it. It was just like a thing to do. Like I got invited to go and I was like, sure, I'll go climb some mountain I've never heard or seen a photo of with you guys. Sounds cool. And climbing is great. I still climb, but every climb is a life with a potential death attached to it.
Yes.
And an older climber once told me, you know, like it's the easier climbs that kill more people because you're not as vigilant. And I was in very comfortable terrain. I was feeling very cozy in my position at that time. And I was not executing any type of risk management when I fell.
So what was the lesson that you learned?
A couple different things. I think that was my outdoor movement practice didn't change right away. It took a couple years to really like integrate like what this meant to me. But something that I'm really gifted at is endurance. I'm really good at walking a long way or running a long way without getting tired. I'm really good at the mental part of endurance sports.
You are.
Definitely below average athlete, but like the mental game is above average. So I have been able to like pull off a lot of like pretty crazy things. I still, you know, and I still wanted to like use that gift, but I had just been kind of following along with like what other people were doing in the realm of endurance, like, and I was leaning too heavily into the external validation of comparison and competition. I was doing what other endurance people do because it seemed like that was what you do. There's not a lot of people in the mountains looking for unique objectives. There's a lot of like peak bagging, summit oriented culture around that. And I really actually don't care about any of that stuff. And so that was kind of the first thing that I learned about myself through that experience was that like, I don't really care to compete or to like participate in the like, competition of kind of traditional mountaineering and alpine objectives. I realized that what I really liked was using the gift that I have and using the skills that I had built to like, just to access places that I couldn't normally access, that I was like more interested in like where it could take me than what I could prove about myself. And then I really tried to just go back to doing everything the way that I always had done it, and it wasn't working, and I was very fearful, and that made me really uncomfortable, and I really like missed the person that I was before the accident. I missed being kind of a cowboy. I missed like not having any fear, you know? But having that accident the way that I did changed the way that I evaluated risk around me. And there were certain things that I was just no longer willing to do. Especially for something that doesn't mean anything to me, like climbing some random mountain in Washington that I couldn't find on a map now, 15 years later.
So how did that inform the classes that you teach now?
When I look online and I look at the things that people are talking about and the types of conversations that people are having around time spent in the outdoors, I see the same conversation happening over and over, and it doesn't reflect the movement practice of anyone that I've ever met.
Tell us.
There's this very narrow perspective on like what we can do outside a lot of like recreation culture is like highly oriented around hiking, which is like fine or whatever, but there's a lot more to do outside beyond just hiking trails. I mean, the Pacific Northwest, I think this is true for Washington as well, but Oregon is like 51% public lands. Only a tiny, tiny fraction of that public land is developed for recreational use. So you're just really leaving you're leaving a lot on the table when you like railroad into these very specific recreational activities.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff to see and do.
There's so many things here. It's ridiculous how much there's.
You know, and you see a lot of people like kind of hammering the same locations over and over. Obviously, like alpine areas get hit really hard, but certain waterfalls in the Northwest get hit really hard too. Panther Creek in Washington is one that people just won't leave that poor waterfall alone.
I've never been.
Yeah. It used to have a beautiful moss thing, and then everybody has trampled it and all the moss is dead.
Oh.
And anyway, it's just stuff like that where it's like, I don't know, there's about 10,000 waterfalls in that national forest alone. Do you guys really like all have to go to the same one?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There's so many waterfalls.
There's just so much to see and do once you like kind of like decondition yourself from thinking about spending outdoors and time outdoors in this like very specific way. And if you look at social media, you'd only think there's about 24 hiking trails in the entire state. There's no tourist information available for a recreational hiker for the entire southeast corner of the state. Nobody's ever written a guidebook to Southeast Oregon.
Are you going to?
Yeah, it's in the works.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. I will buy that shit.
Yeah. There's just so much.
Aren't you also making tarot cards? I feel like you are. Didn't
I
we
do
see that?
have a tarot deck.
Okay.
This year.
That's rad too.
That's a super cool project that is very intuitive, and
I want to talk to you more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just a lot going on, and everybody's got this really narrow idea, and everybody kind of just like harps on the same things, and there's just such a low level of competency with the average hiker that I meet and see people all the time with absolutely no clue what they're doing. And it's terrifying. Like I've seen people climbing Mount St. Helens with no gloves.
I've seen people out with no water in their Crocs, like with their kids. Like, kids is great. I'm not saying the kids shouldn't be there. I mean, like, just the kids are in Crocs, you know, like,
yeah. And it's like, that's fine if all you're going to do is just kind of like do for a little ways and then come back. But like,
serious climbs. I mean, serious climbs. And I'm like, where's your water for these kids? Anyways, I won't get started. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Beyond that, I just feel like there's a super, and I get why people do this. I feel like we really did ourselves a disservice when we let outdoor brands have such a big voice. I don't need to hear from the people who make backpacks. I don't want to hear anything from you. That's the whole reason we got into this whole like mess with Instagram influencers and people kind of like very, very casually talking about places that can only sustain like a really small number of visitors.
Yeah. Like town like pools or something like that.
Yeah, it's a mess out there sometimes now, honestly. But brands never really should have been brought into the conversation. I don't know why we're asking them to speak on things at all. There is such a low level of competency expected of people who are hiking that I meet people who've been hiking for 10 or 15 or 20 years who have never really looked at a compass or don't really know how to read a map. A lot of people know only how to get on the trail, follow the trail, come back on the trail, but if anything else goes wrong or comes up, they're absolutely cooked. And I don't see even like examples of people with a higher level of competency offered, like it's not part of the content that's being created to sell the backpacks and granola bars. And so instead we've kind of like fallen into this place where people assume that like gear acquisition is going to shore up like their lack of experience. So then you find people out in the outdoors who are wearing like $3,000 worth of outdoor gear and still don't know what to do now that the trail has washed out and they have to find some other way to get back to their car. Or even one time I saw like a huge spruce tree fell in the trail and all the limbs and everything were blocking the trail. It wasn't like you could just climb up and over this 300-year-old tree. People had to like reroute up the hillside to get away from it. Eagle Creek fire is a great example of that. People went up that trail and could not come back and basically had to execute on what is like considered a weekend-long backpacking trip in a day to get away from that fire. There's a lot of different ways to like approach whatever it is that you want to do, but like the skill that I see people really not integrating is like just problem solving, like being good at just looking at the situation and looking at the tools and the gear that you have access to and being like, what am I going to do from here? I see a lot of flailing happening where people just give up. I don't know what to do. So
it's a good example of attachment. I speak from just being a risk taker in general. My friends lovingly referred to rage hiked Mount St. Helens by myself one morning, and I got lost on the way down because I took a different direction that I thought would be faster. I have a pretty good sense of direction, but I got myself lost, and I was only like 30, 50 feet away from the trail, but I didn't realize it at the time, and I had to call a ranger and figure out how to get to my car, and I figured it out. But I'm fairly comfortable, but I am a risk taker, absolutely. But I had water. I had things with me. So I was fairly prepared. Burned the heck out of my face. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. But yeah, I sometimes I see, even on Multnomah Falls, okay, I take people there because I used to host a lot as an Airbnb host back when I had better feelings about Airbnb. But either way, and I used to take people out there if they hadn't been to Oregon before, just because I'm like, you kind of have to have the Columbia Gorge experience. And I see people on that trail. Yeah, okay, just walk up to the falls from like the bus route or the bus tours, but like on the trail, I see people like in little high heels dressed for church. I'm like, what are you doing right now? Yeah. You're here for a family photo. What is going on? Yeah.
There's a lot of that goes on
there
too.
There's a lot of that. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm glad that you're out there educating people is all I have to say, because I honestly, I feel like it's something that everyone should know. I think we should all learn how to live off of the land. I think we should know what medicinal herbs can do for us. I think we should get back to, I think we're going to be forced to here very quickly, community-based information and sharing resources in that way, and sharing what we know with each other so that we can survive.
Yeah. The biggest thing I see that holds people back is just a lack of comfort with the outdoors. They just
don't have any experience.
They just don't feel like it's for them. And that breaks my heart, really and truly. They just feel like that's for other people, or like, I'm not going to like that. And a lot of the skills that I teach people, I tell people all the time, your great grandparents knew all this stuff.
Already knew.
I'm bringing you back.
Yeah.
It's, these are regular skills that humans occupying the earth should know. It's not anything specialized. I don't teach people how to build a fort with sticks. You know what I mean? I teach you how to not be the guy that has to build a fort to sleep in overnight by making good choices instead.
I love
People get really into the tips and tricks kind of stuff, like the YouTube stuff. You don't need any of those things if you can practice discernment and problem solving. You won't ever need to know how to build a snow cave. I swear. So,
I mean, hopefully not, unless you're like circling the mountain.
but what are you?
Because your compass is broken.
That's not even.
You have no cell service because you were relying on the compass on your phone.
The thing about the mountain is that it's really clear which way downhill is all the time.
Yes.
Just saying.
Even if you're like 50 feet away from the trail, you'll still get there.
The thing is, like, you can get into a situation, like anybody could get into a situation like that. Like one time I let my toddler lead the hike, and then the next thing I know, we were like off the regular trail and we were on some animal trails, and I was like duck walking behind him, you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that we like were lost and didn't know where we were, but we had ended up on the wrong side of a bog, basically. And like I knew where the highway was. I knew where the trails were. We couldn't cross the bog, you know? Yeah. Stuff like that is going to happen to you all the time. It's just like having a strategy for that. Like, oops, I'm a little turned around right now.
Yeah.
Now what am I going to do? Like, what's the process from here? Some people have a great sense of direction. I don't. That's why I know how to navigate, because I'm like, that's
amazing. I feel like you would just naturally have. No.
Oh, no. I don't think I've ever just naturally been like, oh, it's probably this way, and like been correct. I'm wrong about things all the time. I got lost in the campground in the dark like 2 spring breaks ago, and I was with my friend. I was like, this is embarrassing.
Did you really?
It was dark. We were in the campground. It was like a dispersed camping area where there's no trails. It's just like all these trees that look the same, and everybody's little tent.
That makes sense.
You know, but I was like, damn, I really lost my own tent out here.
That's hilarious.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't ever live in San Francisco and have to find your car.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I can't with that. But
Disneyland parking lot.
I spent a lot of time hiking with an ex of mine who was like an elk hunter, and he was always like, why would we hike down that trail when we already know what's at the other end of it? Like, let's just go up this drainage and down this other one, you know? And so I think to an outsider,
cool influence though,
what it looks like people are doing is just naturally navigating around and things, but like really there's always a detail that you're noticing, whether it's like, oh, I'm going to go up this drainage, you know, and down this next one here. It doesn't really matter where I am in either one of them, because I have a plan here and I know how to execute on it. It definitely seemed like magic the first couple of times he did it, and I was like, damn, we're right by the car again. We've been walking all day. I don't know. You know, but also just even things like noticing the way that the wind affects how trees grow, and then you can kind of like track from there. All the time I'll be like driving around town, especially. It's really dramatic in town because we, you know, don't have forests. We just have strips of trees and like random buildings that create like windbreaks, but sometimes they don't. So all the time driving around Portland, I'll be like, look at those trees. You can see which way the wind blows all the time based on like looking at these trees. So there's just little like tricks to navigation that you can kind of learn, where you can just, I couldn't pick where I'm out on a map, but like I know how I got here, and I definitely know how to get back, even if I go back a different way. So there's a lot of clues, and I think people do naturally know how to do this, but they get stressed out thinking about it in the forest. Like if you've ever gone to the beach, you know, like you didn't get lost walking around. There's no trail on the beach. Like you can walk up and down the beach and you know that the ocean is always going to be on one side of you. And then there's always like a little four-dune complex on the other side. Sometimes you go to the beach and you like can't find the spot where you walked through the dunes. Though, you know what I mean? And so lots of people know like, oh, I'll just look for where all the feet are going. There's going to be a path of like a pattern of people's feet.
Or a break in the dunes.
Yeah, or like a little break in the dunes, or like, or you can climb up on the dunes, you know, and like gain a little vantage point and like look around from there. Everybody naturally knows how to do that stuff. So if you've been to the beach and got back to your car at the end of the day, you could definitely apply all of those same principles to like walking around in the forest or wherever else you want to go.
And you notice that this helps others alleviate their anxiety in the greater world?
I think that a lot of people come to me thinking that learning the hard skills will turn off the anxious voice in their head, and that's I wish that worked that way too, friends. I really do. It's never going to be it. So a lot of times people will come to me and they'll be like, I really want to learn navigation, and then I'll like dig a little deeper, like, what's your practice, like, what do you need, where are you going to be navigating, like, what is this for? And it's really just like, oh well, I just feel really worried about getting lost, and I think if I know how to do this, then I won't worry about that. But you're just going to put that anxiety onto something else. So I feel like if I could teach people any skill, it's just the discernment of like understanding the difference between risk and fear. We like conflate those two all the time. I meet people all the time who are like carrying a gun so that if a mountain lion attacks them, blah blah blah. That is not a thing that's ever going to happen to you, like that's a fear that you have, and that's super scary, and nobody want to get eaten by the mountain lion, right? But in reality, there are about 75,000 other things that you should be worrying about first, and we have a limited capacity to correct for our environment. So worrying about a thing that hasn't ever happened to anyone ever is like not going to be the move. So just understanding, like, I am really having a lot of anxiety about the mountain lions, and the highest risk that I face in this particular situation is probably like people's off-leash dogs, or like falling off of something, it's always the mundane risks. I mean, driving to the trailhead is the most dangerous part. People are really accustomed to and trusting in the idea that everybody's going to stay in their lane on the freeway, right? And so we're all like 7 to 8 inches apart, like whizzing by at 65 miles an hour, and that's fine. But like, then we get into the woods and
there's
suddenly,
a lot of practice at that.
So it's the things that it's the risks that people are unfamiliar with that they get really focused on.
I love that you said that.
But yeah, risk and fear, not the same thing. We can definitely address our fears, but risk management is a separate task, so you kind of got to handle your business on your own time. But when it's time to execute a risk management strategy, you need to pay attention to hazard trees and places that you don't want to fall, and making sure that you put your backpack well away from the edge so that all of your belongings don't go off of a cliff, like really mundane basic things, and put on sunscreen, and really mundane
or
basic,
bring it. Why that didn't occur to me, I have no idea.
I once went to the mountains with a boyfriend who was like, I'm going to bring everything. I got everything planned, and he didn't bring sunscreen.
I'm telling you, I've never been so burned in my entire life.
A very nice lady gave me the end of her sunscreen too.
Oh my God.
I was like, you have no idea.
I was like, I'll be fine.
Oh no.
It was so not fine. I gave myself a derma peel. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Unintentionally.
Yeah. I've definitely gotten the blisters on my chest, specifically on St. Helens. I don't know what it is about St. Helens.
It was such karma too, because my ex-husband climbed Mount Shasta and got lost. That's why I use that as an example. And he was actually fairly great at climbing, and had an entire group of men with him. That said, and they made it down and nothing bad happened. They just got lost. And he burned the heck out of his face. And when he came home, I thought it was hilarious. I was like, how, you, of all people, like, how did you manage to not bring sunscreen? And so then I did it. And so then, it was my turn with that. Yeah, isn't that how karma works?
I did my eyes on Baker. I left my sunglasses in the tent.
Snowblind?
And it was such a harrowing climb that I was really not thinking about bonus things. I was just like, don't fall in the crevasse again. Like, don't break the snow bridge. But yeah, on the descent, I remember I looked over at my Alpine mentor's face, and his whole face looked like burgundy red, and I was like, oh, I have done a bad thing to myself. This is not good. So Yeah, good times.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned.
Okay, let's see. What are you still working on healing or tending within yourself?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I'm such a grinder that I'm always like on a fucking journey. I'm always like trying to do some thing or like unearthing something like really sticky. I just went through a very long period of like maybe 6 weeks where I was really just like holed up in my house and just like doing like the really nitty gritty work and like and digging in on some stuff. And then I just love that feeling of when something breaks off and rolls away and you like never worry about it again. I'm pretty much always on some stupid thing like that. lots of like inner child stuff. Lots of things on that theme.
Good for you. What part of yourself are you strengthening or learning to trust more now?
That's a good question. I have been learning lately to let's see, how do I want to say this? I am learning to trust that I will be supported in community so that I can be brave in life. And that was like definitely a theme that was coming up kind of at the end of the year when I was like doing this really intense work, was like that I needed to really like find a tangible way to experience like the reality of the fact that I am held. I'm somebody that is very lucky. Like I'm very rich in communities. I'm part of like a lot of different types of communities. And I don't know, I hear people talk all the time about how it's so hard to find community and it's so hard to find people to connect over. And
it's awesome for an Aquarius. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's like who you are.
I am very introverted and yet I find it very easy. So I think the trick with people is knowing where to place them. Like some people you don't need to be all the way up in everybody else's business. There are certain things we just don't need to know about each other. There's certain space that you got to learn how to place between you and other people. I have a ton of people that I'm in close community with, of all different ages. I have, friends who are much older than me. I have friends who are in their 20s, and everything in between. And it is a little bit of an exercise in just making sure like everybody is in their right place around you and that you're not. I can love my friends who are total chaos goblins, but like I can't be all the way up in your business and know about all your chaos. Sometimes you have to love people from afar. I think that's the mistake I see everybody make when they're like trying to build community. I don't know, a lot of people aren't discerning between community and like a social scene. And yeah, you don't need to be besties with everybody in community. So lots of fun, like interesting community experiences that I get to be a part of, and I'm super grateful for all of that. But always more comfortable being like of service to people than asking for help.
Mm-hmm. Do you work at, I feel like it's called Wildcraft. Is it Wildcraft Studio?
I've taught a couple classes for them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also really cool.
They have some really cool programs. I'm excited to take some of their classes.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen their new space, but they're over here on the west side now.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're moving to the west side from the division location.
Okay.
They're in the Pearl. So, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been to their space in Portland. I've only been out to their space out in White Salmon.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Really pretty.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Okay. You teach people how to feel safe in wild places. What does safety actually mean to you?
Yeah. It's really, so we can only deal what's right in front of us, right? Like you can spend a lot of time thinking about things that might happen or could happen or whatever. Like you can definitely let your anxiety get in the front seat and tell you all kinds of stories. What keeps us safe is being calm and regulated and being available to make good decisions Only calm minds can make smart decisions. Emotional minds do not make good decisions. People who are like letting their anxiety run the show don't make good choices. The only way you can make good choices, good evidence-based choices, is to like have a regulated nervous system. If you ever get into consuming a lot of content around the theme of backcountry accidents, it's the same thing over and over. Somebody makes a mistake and then they freak out and overcorrect for it, or they make a bad decision, or they make a hasty decision of some kind that is not the right one, and then everything gets 10 times worse from there. That is a super common theme of like any of those adventure bro movies that you want to watch. It's always what goes
or
down.
like a horror movie where you're like,
Yeah.
why are you running that way?
Yeah. So like last time I got into a bad circumstance outdoors, I was like, we're cooked here. All right, everybody take a break. Sit down, take your backpack and dump everything out.
Yep.
And then it's time to do a little inventory. You got to see what you got. So often I have something I had no idea about. So often I'm like, crap, I think I'm out of food. And then I'm like, oh, no. There's 4 lint-covered cough drops in here. We're going to make it over the next mountain. It's going to be fine. Or there's, just some little thing in there that can like make your life easier. You get a blister and maybe you don't have a Band-Aid, but maybe you have some beeswaxy lip balm that can at least grease the back of your heel so that it doesn't get worse. Like just looking at what you've got and being ready to MacGyver some stuff together.
I love that you use that word.
Yeah, totally. I don't know if the young people know that word, but
I do.
yeah. Definitely like being from a commercial fishing family, like this is an essential skill when you're in a career like that. Like things are gonna break and you're gonna be on the ocean and you gotta like tack it together with duct tape and some spray foam and whatever
you have on hand. Yep, been there with my dad as well.
Yeah, all my dad's solutions involve like duct tape and spray foam.
See what my dad loves duct tape.
Yeah,
duct tape's the best invention for me.
But it's like it's just learning. It's not like you need to know every little tricky trick in the book, but just having that kind of like problem-solving attitude where you sit down and you're like, well, this is pretty terrible, but what are we going to do
about it?
So having a calm mind and knowing that that's what you need to do, like understanding like when I'm anxious and upset and I'm gonna flail and try to fix this, and I need to have the discernment and I need to be strict with myself and not allow myself to do those things.
Or give yourself 3 minutes to cry about it and then be like,
absolutely.
Shake that out of my system. Now what am I going to do?
When I fell on the mountain and I almost died,
Please tell me you cried.
Yeah, after everybody scrubbed my wounds out, I was like, I am going to take 5 minutes to cry and then we're going to get off the mountain, okay? Because I don't know where this is going to go in my body if I don't do this right now.
Yeah, your nervous system.
I was really hoping that was going to be enough. Sadly, crying one time for 5 minutes didn't cut it for me.
Probably not. No, fairly traumatic.
It was pretty traumatic.
Fairly traumatic. Okay. How does real skill change the nervous system differently from reassurance or positive thinking?
Yeah, I think that seeing yourself succeed can rewire your brain in a way that there's nothing I can give you that could ever take the place of just knowing that you can handle business. Like I've done enough dumb things now and I've seen myself succeed enough times that I'm like not really afraid of anything that's going to happen in the outdoors at this point.
I just mean in life.
I too, honestly. But, well, like, here's an example. So, my boyfriend does forestry work, and we went up to Washington State last week, and I was just kind of like hanging out and hiking and taking pictures and stuff, and he was working, and he had a mountain lion encounter. So I just like...
Speaking of mountain lions...
I just got through this whole thing where I said, that's never going to happen to you. Well, you're not a forestry worker that goes into like really weird places.
Yeah.
He was like in the middle of a cliff complex. Anyway, a mountain lion tried to eat my boyfriend. Just terrible. And the cougar was not actually like stalking him to hunt him. We've talked about it a lot of times, and really it seems like he was trying to get him to leave the area, like there was a den with cubs in it or a cached kill or something like that. But yeah, like as two people that spend a lot of time in the outdoors, we were like, that was a really weird and like not regular thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like one of the conversations that we had immediately afterwards is I was like, well, you know, that's probably the only time that'll ever happen to you. Like, and he's been asking around and nobody else had had an experience like that. So I'm like, I mean, yeah, I don't think you need to course correct for that in life anymore. Like, I don't think this is a thing that's going to happen to you every other year, right? Like, it was a one-off thing. It was super weird. He knew what to do, you know, to not let it get too close. And yeah, I don't know. We've talked about it a couple times over the last like week and a half or whatever since it happened. And
I'm glad he was safe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was like a scary thing. He was pretty upset about it at the time, but yeah, it was, you know, after the initial reaction, it was like, well, what part of this is your fear? Because that's hella scary and that's so valid. Like, nobody wants to be eaten by the lion. But like, what part of that is risk that you need to correct for? And then what's the other part?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes correcting for the risk can help us feel better, but it's important to know that those are two different things. And yeah, that's super scary. And fear is a very valid emotion, and that is going to go places in your body, and you're going to have to deal with it. You can't just be like, oh, well, it's fine.
I'll cry for 5 minutes and I'm good.
Oh boy.
What do most people misunderstand most about fear in nature and in life?
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't know how, I mean, beyond just like what's fear and what's anxiety, a lot of people can't tell their anxiety from their intuition. And that's the thing that we talk about a lot in classes, especially when I work with people one-on-one. Learning how to discern between those two things is kind of its own separate skill. It's a little more nuanced, right? But like, intuition is like a feeling, it's a vibe, and it's a very clear and specific direction. Your intuition is not going to tell you a big long story that connects back to like a serial killer podcast you listened to one time, you know? It's not going to provide you with like a horrifying narrative of any kind. That's anxiety. Your intuition's just going to be like, hey, don't go over there. Hey, don't do that. It's time to get in your car. Go home right now. Just go. They're not going to tell you why. And so I get a lot of people who are like kind of, letting their imagination get away from them and are creating all of these like fear fantasies in their head. And like, the thing I always like to come back to over and over again is never one time ever in life was I right about what was going to happen next. Not one time.
I love that too.
So, whatever, like,
I always say, do you have a magic crystal ball?
right.
And people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, can you foretell the future somehow? Please tell me your secret, because I want to know it too.
I know.
Yeah.
All those stories, like all of that storytelling that we do in our head is really, oof. It's not that there isn't value in it, but like you can't listen to those stories. They are like evidence of stuff that lives in your subconscious, and that's a very interesting data point, but that is not real information.
How does learning navigation, risk assessment, and competence restore self-trust?
Yeah, I think we like are put through all kinds of circumstances in our modern lives that like erode our sense of self-trust. And I think a lot of people are uncomfortable sometimes initially with the experience of being truly alone in the outdoors. It's so big, right? Like the outdoors is so big and we are so small, and we're actually like we're pretty fragile. We have like fragile little bodies, and like, you know, nature, sometimes I'll hear people say that like, you know, like nature doesn't care, like nature doesn't give a fuck or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, but also it just is. And we just are. And like, we're not the center of the story. It's not that deep. You know, like it just is.
Stop taking it personal.
It's not, yeah, it's definitely not personal.
Mother Nature's not trying to get you.
if sometimes you're the bug on the sidewalk that gets stepped on. That's just how that is. And I think that people are really uncomfy with feeling like they might be the bug that gets stepped on someday. That's a new feeling after you have lived in a human supremacist world for your entire life, where you've never really had to consider like the lives of any other creatures or beings ever. So people are...
I love that you called it a human supremacist society. That's amazing.
It's uncomfortable to realize that's not actually the law of nature. And sometimes just going through that initial experience can be uncomfy for people.
Mm-hmm.
I think once you get past that, you can find a lot of peace in that idea. I think maybe that's what I love about the desert the most, is that like it feels so timeless out there, and like you're part of something that's so much bigger than you, and like all of my tiny human problems seem like so silly, so giving people tools that will keep them safe and also will help them feel more in control of their experience just like opens them up to being even ready to receive that. There's a lot of levels you have to go through to get to the point where you don't like need anything from your experience in the outdoors, and you're just like there to receive. Yeah.
I love the desert because the desert survives. Yeah, it overcomes everything.
A lot of cool specialists in the desert, but like here in Oregon, our desert, used to be like the first people who crossed the Oregon desert traveled by canoe. Like the Oregon desert used to be part of like the Great Basin. It was like an inland sea. And I think about that all the time, and there are little pockets, little remnants of like older times kind of like baked into the landscape still. It's really cool.
It is really cool. I've never lived somewhere as beautiful as Oregon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I grew up in California, and Southern California, and then Northern California, and there are beautiful areas of both. But Oregon stuns me. It doesn't matter where I drive. It does not matter. I'm like, this is God's country. Whatever that means, I don't know, but it's God's country out here. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Super cool.
It is super cool. What happens inside people when they realize they can take care of themselves?
Yeah. I mean, on a certain level, like actually learning how to navigate is a very interesting practice for your brain, right? Like when we like learn to perceive ourselves inside of space, that's actually really cool. I think we're all like healing the part of our brain that has been warped by our like iPhones, when we learn how to navigate. I think there's some interesting science that backs that up, but I don't know. I know that I used to be smarter before I got an iPhone.
Oh, yes! Before maps? I mean, there's so many things. I don't always choose to use maps. Portland's pretty hard to navigate without them when you first move here, but
yeah.
There's very conflicting freeways and lots of bridges, and it's not intuitive. But either way, yes. I mean, there was a time, like, I grew up with a Thomas guide,
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And so that's why I think I have such a good sense of direction, is because you had to just figure out how to get somewhere. Like, no one was showing up to tell you how to get there. Someone wasn't bossing you on your phone. And no, I mean, same thing. There's so many things on your phone that make you dumb.
Yeah. We've outsourced a lot of our
even with AI. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I tell my kids all the time, like, hey, your advantage over the rest of your generation is the fact that you were not an iPad baby,
yes.
And I know you've been mad at me about it for a while, but I hope now that you're, teenagers, you can appreciate that you like have a lot of skills that your age peers don't. you know, and I think we're going to swing too far in that direction and then come back, because that's not, it might be normal, but it's not natural, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, similar, I sent my daughter to Waldorf education, and they were such against, and this is like early 2000s, so against computers at the time and being on the internet. And I was like, okay, yes, and we cannot deny what is happening out in the world. Like, there's, you know, everything in moderation. And I always compared it to, like, you know, when I was growing up, you would be that kid at the lunch table who, like, had Vegemite on their sandwich and, like, all of the healthy snacks. And you were like, what? You have Capri Sun? Why?
Yeah. I was totally that kid. I'm glad I intuited that. And you know what? I do appreciate my mom for, like, making us eat whole food meals, and I've never had a Twinkie in my life.
We weren't allowed to have sugary cereals, and I was so mad at her about that. Oh man. Yeah.
We only got them when we went camping, so there was like a little window where you could get the mini box where you would cut open the boxes and eat the milk, and so then we could have that, you know, where like maybe once a year she'd be like, all right, just get whatever you want. It's your birthday or something. Yeah, and now I am thankful to my mom for, you know, making sure that I had a good, just like a broad palate, you know, like I wasn't just eating like the same 6 like generic kid foods, you know, all the time.
I didn't have a broad palate. That wasn't my experience. That wasn't her cooking style either. But we're still not allowed to have sugar. Yeah. So that's awesome that she influenced that.
Yeah, totally. Lots of things like that where when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, so dumb. But my kids are getting old enough now that they're kind of like,
appreciating it.
All right, I do appreciate this about you.
Aww.
They're not outdoorsy, but we'll get there.
They have time. They have so much time. Okay. How do you lead yourself when things feel uncertain or uncomfortable?
I lean pretty heavily on my intuition in life to make decisions. It's difficult to describe the degree to which I do like ask the realm or whatever to help me navigate things. There's a lot behind that. I don't even know how to get into all of it, but I have a pretty clear like connection to things outside of myself, and when I don't know what to do, that's where I go. I like lay down and I take a nap, and then when I wake up, the problem is solved, you know, or at least I know what I have to do. It's usually because I don't want to. That's why. Usually when the problem seems unsolvable, it's because I know what the answer is and I don't like it. But, you know.
Good insight there. Who are the people who uplift you and keep you grounded?
Definitely my daughter is my like number one fan. Daughters are awesome. They are. My daughter, her name is Swanilda. She is.
Say it again.
Swanilda.
I love that.
It's like a Viking name.
What a beautiful name.
It means battle swan, which is honestly. I did it to myself because I gave her that name. I don't know. But yeah,
She chose that name, by the way.
Yeah.
She whispered it in your ear.
I always tell her. I've always called her since she was little. I've always called her the tiny queen. She's the queen. I'm the mother of the queen. It's a great role, but like she's tougher and cooler than I'll ever be, for sure. For sure. But she is definitely my hype man, and so always in my corner, except when she's not. She's really sassy, but yeah.
How old?
She's 11.
Ooh, yeah. Good age too.
She's a Sagittarius.
Oh wow, so spunky.
Super spicy.
Super spicy
Super
and funny.
Spicy Pisces moon.
Ooh.
Virgo rising.
Okay.
So chaotic. I like looked up her chart a few days after she was born, and I was like, well, none of this goes together, so that's going to be fun.
No, but
Yeah.
Maybe balance. Good balance with the Pisces might balance it out. But
Yeah, just super, like,
I'm a Pisces man.
yeah. Very, very feelingsy. She's very sweet. She's, yeah.
We are
My
very
little
feeling
sensitive.
very sensitive. Yes. What's one thing you've changed your mind about, and what helped you see it differently?
Oh. I mean, so many things have changed, like, especially like through the work that I'm doing, I guess I would say. I mean, I think the whole thing with being an entrepreneur is like pivot over and over, forever and ever. I never really get to rest in this work. And that's something.
I think you'd like that though. I don't know. All those naps that you are missing out on.
I'm so tired.
I am too, but I think you're very driven.
I am in this like phase in life. It definitely, I think it's come as a surprise to people who've known me longer. But, yeah, I just know that there's always more. You know, I'm never gonna just like figure it out and then get to rest. On it.
Mm-hmm.
There's
I'm
always
too curious for that.
Well, there's always going to be some like new way to like convey the information, and that's really like at the end of the day, that's really like what I'm doing here is like sharing ideas and information with people, and experimenting with different formats to do that with, whether it's like in class in person or like social media marketing and like building an audience through that, or through like any of the books and things that I have coming out. All of that. There's a ton of different, it's hard to explain sometimes like what Wild Solitude does, because it's kind of like an umbrella, and then there's all these different avenues through which you can like engage with the same concepts.
Yeah. I'm very excited about your publishing. What's one social or environmental cause you feel deeply responsible for?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like teaching people how to reconnect with nature is a essential part of the survival of the earth.
Thank you for doing that work.
And humans are part of that. Something that I like think back about a lot. When I first started guiding, and when I first started Wild Solitude, I was operating in the Tillamook State Forest, and there's actually quite a lot of things written about the Tillamook and the Tillamook State Forest and stuff. And I love reading old books. Like, I love finding an old book that it hasn't been revised and re-edited and cleaned up for a modern reader, and kind of like getting more of a sense of like how people really saw and thought about the natural world. And in the 1950s, when they were writing a lot of books about the Tillamook and the Tillamook burn and all of that kind of thing, the cultural values around what nature was for were very, very different. Almost like something that's hard to recognize at this point. Like all of the language at that time was about like optimizing nature and like what nature can do for man, and like this very like data driven but super misguided perspective on what forests are for and why we value them and what their purpose is, and even really how they work. I mean, they really did not understand what they were doing at all.
I don't know that some people still understand. Yeah. I'm not even going to touch that.
But like the type of language and the way of relating to those places has changed so much in the last 75 years. I really do have hope that like it's hard to see on the scale of human time, but like the way that we relate to wild places is changing really dramatically.
Especially for younger generations.
Yeah, absolutely for younger generations. But I mean, I even think like sometimes when I even go back to books that were just written like in the 1980s, there's language in there that, God, you would never say that today. You know,
I grew up during that time.
Yeah, and some of it's just people telling on themselves, and I do think it is important to be honest about how we used to look at and interact with these things. You can't just sweep all that stuff under the rug.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes there's just these horrific little details tucked away inside these stories. But if we can go from thinking of forests as just like a purely industrial purpose to something that should be, that I think at this point people assume are protected. They're definitely not.
No.
In the span of 75 years, I think that we're going to make it, you know?
If this administration doesn't get rid of all of the forests, then yes.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's hard to know what's going to happen next.
It is.
But
I'm trying not to be an alarmist.
Yeah, I think all we can do is deal with what's right in front of us right now, and I think that that's bad enough.
Yep.
That I don't think we need to get super wound up on future projecting or like coming up with these narratives, and especially right now where there's really bad things that are happening right now. This is the time more than ever to practice discernment and not like spin yourself out about things. I see so many people expressing how they have so much anxiety about what's happening, and it's like, yeah, I super understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, we all need everybody to have a nervous system that is regulated right now and prepared to deal with things when they get actually bad right in front of you.
Yes.
And when it's go time, you gotta be ready to go. And if you let your nervous system burn out right now,
it needs to be burned out.
you're not going to be
up.
of use to anyone. So super important to just like lock in and be ready to handle some business and not get into the emotions of it too much.
And rest it.
And rest and all of the things. Yeah.
What's one thing you wish more people cared about or talked about honestly? You're fun to have on a podcast.
This is my second interview this week. I do this a lot. You know, how do I want to say this? Let me think about.
I just really appreciate your honesty.
That's I want to use.
Yeah.
I think that if we could be more honest with ourselves about where our ego is getting in the way of us, like actually building relationships with the landscapes and the places that we love, that we could move more quickly towards seeing wild places as something that needs to be protected. Because I don't really see a different way in thinking of like deciding that, well, we're going to set this piece of land aside and that piece of land aside. And we're going to do it basically just based on aesthetic value, you know? And then we're going to use these pieces of land as like a backdrop for our adventures, you know? And it's still like, there's still a very like colonial, like supremacist way of looking at wild places. Even when we're having a conversation about protecting them, it's still like a very possessive idea. It's still all about like, what can this land do for me? Or what can I like, learn about myself through setting this aside in reserve for me to use as like a playground, essentially. And that is the thing that makes me really uncomfortable about the way we've oriented so heavily towards recreation. It's the same set of values with a slightly different lens. And I wish more people understood that we're really going to have to unlearn and unpack all of that in order to like actually choose what's best for all of us in the end.
What do you love most about yourself?
So many things I could answer. Oh my gosh.
You can tell when you speak.
Yeah. I'm really grateful for all the experiences I've had in life, like even like really like shitty things that didn't make sense at the time.
Me too.
I've always been really good at that, like that alchemy part of moving through an experience.
Do you have any Scorpio in your chart anywhere? Fascinating.
I'm all air and fire.
That's so
all the way
crazy.
through.
You're like an alchemist.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely
It's
an
the
idealist.
air and the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just burn shit up.
Yeah. I do like there's a lot of things in my chart that I really
like when you go,
love.
yeah.
That's how it is.
You affirmed yourself.
I've been through a lot. Come out unscathed on the other side. Things don't bother me that much. Nothing is that deep to me. I am a very chill person. Not a super emotional person, which I think probably is like not other people's favorite thing about me. But for me, I'm just like, guys, this isn't, we don't need to do all of this. Like, what if we just operated from a logical place for
like
5
a
minutes
surgeon.
just to try it out and see what it feels like, you know what I mean? So yeah,
I'm like the antithesis of you. I'm a Scorpio with a Pisces rising and moon.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're like oil and water. I am all about the feels.
And somebody's got to hold down that realm. It's just not me.
Yeah. I totally get that.
You know,
I have so much respect for you.
And it's always so good to be like sensitive, you know? I think another thing I like to separate out is like, what is being sensitive and what is just being emotional? You know? Because we can be like sensitive to other people, we can attune to other people without like maybe bringing in all the yucky stuff that isn't even really about anybody else, and it's just like our shit all the time. But yeah, I have lots of lovely water sign people in my life that keep me from totally going off into the ether completely.
You're completely brutally honest with it. You're like, oh God, okay, you're right.
All my ex-husbands are Cancers.
Oh wow! All of your ex-husbands? I love how she says that too. All of my ex-husbands.
All of my ex-husbands.
Just a pack of them.
So fun.
Amazing. Okay. Your confidence is crazy. I love it. If you could return to Earth for 5 minutes to experience one last thing, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. It'd probably have to be an emotional experience, right? So I could have some more of that humanness a little bit. I don't know. Gosh, there's so many. I mean, I feel like it's the mundane stuff that's so great in life, you know? Like sunsets and sunrises. And
Eating pizza.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments in the mountains, like, of my entire life so far. One time I was out in the blast zone at St. Helens, and there was this like sign, like a signboard, you know, with like the little thing on the top, and there was a guy sitting in the shade of the sign.
There was a sign?
There was a big sign. Like
I don't remember there being a sign there.
It was like over by the Johnston Ridge Observatory. Anyway, guy's sitting over there in the shade, and as I came up, I was like, what is he eating? And this guy was sitting in the shade in the middle of the blast zone eating frozen grapes. And I don't know like how far he had to bury those in his backpack or like what all was the situation there, but I was like, that is incredible. 10 out of 10. So like I decided that was just going to be my summit snack for a couple years. And so I just like, I have all of these really beautiful memories of standing on top of a mountain, like eating like frozen grapes that I bundled up inside of my, you know, puffy coat and then like buried like in the center of my backpack and like insulated as much as possible. And then I like got them out at the top.
No ice pack?
No ice pack. Just, you know, if you start early enough, it's cold.
Yeah. Sure.
But yeah, eating frozen grapes on a mountain is like a 10 out of 10
memory
experience.
That's a great memory. I wish I would have had some frozen grapes. That would have been amazing. When you're 90 years old, what do you hope you've stood for, protected, or passed on?
I guess I just really hope that that the work that I'm doing now gets to be a big part of that, like that cultural shift that I know we have coming. And that's all I want is to
Go, Aquarius, go.
Yeah, is to like get in on that, and hopefully like
Please do.
feel like I made enough of a shift happen, because we cannot continue on this thing that we're doing, obviously.
No, we cannot.
I don't think anybody's under that illusion even anymore, you know. But without a new paradigm, we just recreate the same structures over and over. And
yes,
and I see a lot of people hitting their heads on the same spot, going down the stairs over and over every time we have conversations about like what needs to change in this country and in the world more generally. So yeah, I think I would be satisfied if that was my contribution.
I love that. How do you think learning to feel safe again inside ourselves and in the world helps us love more fully?
Yeah, I mean, I think like experiencing fear is always coming from the uncertainty, at least in the outdoors, and you know, and the further you can come back into yourself, the more you have to offer.
Well, I'm going to leave it there. You had some incredible insight that I love that you shared. There were so many times throughout this that I was like, oh my God, I love that you said that. I learned so much, and I know other people will love it as well. And thank you so much for your time and for sharing your wisdom. And I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. These were great questions. This was really fun.
Good. I'm glad. That was the point.